Hello friends, I'm Bronnie Ware. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm answering a question from Diane, one of my audience, and I'm sure it will be very relevant to yourself as well. Not necessarily all the finer details, but the basis of the question, because it's about self-care and all of us have to have strong lessons in that one. Okay, so what Diane says is my question follows on from this week regarding self-care. So she sent this in after I have done an earlier video about self-care. I cared for my partner with cancer over years, probably 5 or 6 in total. I never considered myself a carer, just a wife doing the best she could. As I cared for him, I also worked as a midwife in a busy maternity ward unit, which is interesting because while I was working in palliative care, I was also working at a birthing centre. Some of us just get called to both ends of the spectrum. Since James died in 2020, I have worked. I did take up yoga for a while, meditated, kept a gratitude diary, and indulged in a few self-care experiences. Time away, massages, acupuncture, going to the movies. My problem or question is, a year on, and this is a great question. I am still giving and giving and giving, and have gone back to not caring for me, giving up on yoga and just working. How do you retrain or relearn how to self-care? I know this is similar to the other question from the woman caring for her husband with dementia. That's about my previous video. But it is like the next step afterwards, finding out how to sustain self-care. Thank you, Diane. It's a really important question. Okay, so one of the only ways I've been able to do that, other than being forced to do so by a disease, but I had already done a lot of work to understand my self-care and to commit to it, and that is to realize and create a habit of realizing that you are as equal and worthy of care and love as everyone else on the planet, and that includes your patients. So in this case, if you're tending to all your patients, you need to consider yourself as a patient as well and think, okay, I've cared for all those other patients today, but have I cared for the patient called Diane? And probably not. So maybe then you will. It is a habit that has to evolve over time, and it comes from recognizing, returning to that thing all the time and recognizing that you are as equal and worthy of self-care and love as everyone else. And so why should you actually just give and give and give when you're as equal to all those other people? They may appear a little bit more in need on the day, but if you can create a habit of, even if it just starts with 15 or 20 minutes of devoted self-care, something that you love doing, maybe like for me in the afternoon before my daughter's home from school, I have a chai. I make a really lovely chai. I sit out on the swinging bench, the swinging garden seat that we have, and I don't take my phone out there, and I just look at the bush, which is right next door to where we live, and I just enjoy that time. And sometimes it's really hard because I start working or I've been out or something, and the time is really narrow and I don't get as much time. And so in that case, rather than actually rush through, I'll leave the cuppa until my little girl's home, but I will still go out and just sit on the swinging bench, and I'll swing for a while, or I just make sure I'm bare feet and I have my feet touching the earth and I'm not doing anything else. And for me, that stillness is imperative for my well-being. Just to have that, usually it can be about half an hour a day. Sometimes it's an hour a day. Sometimes it's 10 or 15 minutes. But unless it's absolutely pouring rain, every afternoon for some little gap, I have that transition time from being in work mode to having to go into mother mode. I just have that time of stillness just to be in Bronnie mode. And I mean, these days I have the dog beside me and he wants pats and he wants to be patted and everything, and that's fine. But how I maintain it, and how I suggest that you do as well, is you're going to end up empty otherwise. But if you can keep bringing it home to yourself that you are as equal and worthy as everyone else that you serve in the world, then why would you neglect that equal worthy person? Why would everyone else get a piece of you and you don't get a piece? Well, that's not kind to yourself, is it? It's not kind. It's not how you treat your patients. It's not how you would treat other people. So why treat yourself that way? You are equal. And so that is how I turn it around. And so then it becomes a habit. It's not, self-care is a journey. It's a journey, all right. So it's not something that necessarily happens overnight, but it's a step-by-step process. And every time you can bring mindfulness back to that fact that, hang on, I'm equal and worthy, and I've been neglecting that person today, myself, but I've been looking after everyone else, then you start actually thinking, actually, that person would benefit from some yoga today. I feel resistant, I'm tired, I've been serving everyone else, I don't want to go. But then if you do go, you get the endorphins, and that can give you the energy to pull you back next time and next time. I get in a swimming pool right through the year, 7 a.m. every morning, and believe me, I don't often want to do it. I want to be in the water. But what I want is that rush of endorphins I have floating through my body when I finish my swim. And I do qigong and juice before that. I'm up before the birds. So, and often I just think, oh, I cannot do this today. I cannot do it. Very occasionally I'll honor that, but most of the time it's more like, actually, Bronnie, just do it. You know you're going to be grateful to yourself later for doing it. And sometimes when I get in that pool in winter, it is freezing and like stinging cold, and I just think, oh my God, and then I just get the goggles on and off I go. I just kick like crazy and swim. And within about 5 or 10 minutes of it, I'm thinking, I'm so glad I did this. And even if I can only stay in a short time because the water's so icy, every single morning I think to myself, I am so glad I did this. So if you can use that story to help support you as well, and keep that in the back of your mind, that there is a reward for self-care, and it's not just a lack of exhaustion, it's enjoyment, and it's endorphins rushing through your body and everything else. But more than anything, I want you to realize that you are as equal and worthy of every other person on the planet. None of us are better or worse than anyone else. In terms of worth, we are all worthy. We are all worthy, including you. The more you can come back to that, the more you're going to realize, hang on, I've cared for everyone else, but I've neglected me, and I'm as worthy as them. So why would I treat myself so unkindly? Why would I deny myself the care that I can give myself, the joy of that care, and the rewards of that care, and the love of that care? You are just as worthy as everyone else. So please keep that in mind and use that to keep yourself strong when you're having resistance and when you're just on a treadmill serving everyone else, because it's not sustainable, and you deserve some joy too, and you deserve your own self-care. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you found the video helpful, especially if you truly do want to reach your fullest experience of life with no regrets. You might also like the free resources of articles, interviews and videos available on my website at bronnieware.com. If you'd like your question to be considered for a future video, or if you'd like some inspiration in your inbox, then join my mailing list via the website. Find out more about my books, which have inspired over 1 million people in 32 languages, at bronnieware.com/books. My online programs are found at bronnieware.com/courses. Socially, I can be found on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook and Pinterest. If you've benefited from what I share here, tag your friends so they can too. Stay well and safe out there, and remember, live true to your heart's own song.